Hello and welcome back to the Scoop with Coop. I'm of course Coop, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the New York Giants parting ways with Brian Daboll after another heartbreaking loss to the Chicago Bears. And just to get this out of the way, you never want to see anyone lose their livelihood. Just as a person, right? You can feel bad and kind of feel like this is never a good thing when this type of thing happens, right? So just getting that part out of the way, Brian Daboll was not a successful head coach with the Giants. And I don't know if all of that is on him, quite honestly. Because I feel like some of the team building strategies and some of just the poor roster management falls more on GM Joe Schoen than it does on Brian Daboll himself. Now, I'm sure Daboll does have a say in what goes on there, but it doesn't seem like Daboll is entirely this dark cloud that was hanging over the Giants. Now, his winning percentage was 33.6. That is abysmal. That is poor. That is truly awful. But when you look at things, right, he made the playoffs in his first year as a coach with no talent, right? Because you look and you see Daniel Jones balling out for the Colts. Okay, cool. That's on Daboll. It's really not. Because if you look at that Giants team, who is their number one receiver? Darius Slayton. What are you supposed to do when you don't have a truly game-breaking tight end and you have a running back, which sure, but running backs, they have a inherent value and they're limited as to how much they can truly... Running backs can raise the ceiling of a team, but not the floor. And I think if you only have a running back as your only possible player who can actually be somewhat of a weapon on offense, you're going to fail. And, I think Brian Daboll was able to get decent results out of Daniel Jones that 1 year, and then it kind of went downhill. But they had no offensive line outside of Andrew Thomas because they completely wasted the 5th overall pick on Evan Neal, who is more so known is more of a meme than anything for the Giants. You get Kayvon Thibodeau, which, okay, he's good. But you're blundering on picks that are the most crucial to hit, and it's like, how can you sit back and just say, this is all on Daboll? Daboll, bad coach, right? Listen, as soon as he's fired, the Giants are going to go on to win, X many games. They're going to go on and win X many Super Bowls. They're going to... No, I don't think that's how you view things, because I do think that, honestly, this Giants team needs a complete, I don't want to say overhaul, because I like what some of their offensive philosophies are, but you got rid of your head coach who's an offensive-minded guy, so it seems like that is going to end up happening. But I think that at the end of the day, the GM, Joe Schoen, has really set this team up for failure, and I think that blaming all of it on Daboll, is it unfair? Yes, but it's also a what have you done for me lately business, and what have you done for me lately? You got us the number 3 overall pick. And the year before that, we weren't contending. The year before that, I believe that was the year they missed the playoffs and Daniel Jones, struggled a ton. But then the year before that, you made the playoffs. Okay. But there's just nothing in that Giants team. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, you have the fallout with Wink Martindale where it's like, okay, not great having one of the best defensive coordinators in the game kind of resign because he just simply doesn't want to be there. But this is such a weird team to talk about because it's like this year, you look, are they as truly bad as they appear to be? Because they honestly they don't feel like a truly awful team. They don't. Because, you look and you have Jackson Dart and he's balling out before he had a concussion. You look and you've got, you're able to put up, 32 on the Broncos. You stay at home and you go up and put, 34 on Philly? I mean, you put up good performances against teams offensively, but guess what? Your defense, I mean, I believe they have blown 10-point leads in the fourth quarter 4 times this year already. We're like, what, 10 games done with the season? That is just not at all acceptable. And I think that falls on Brian Daboll. I think the lack of structure for Jackson Dart has kind of hurt Daboll's case, even though Jackson Dart has really balled out of structure. But I don't understand why you're waiting to do this move now if you're the Giants. Because I know I've mentioned previously that you have, all of these flaws, right? How maybe some of it's not all on Daboll. But you're going to make your face of the franchise young quarterback who you have invested so much time in learn another playbook with another coach and have to build a relationship with his number one receiver. I mean, what are we doing? What are you doing as a franchise that makes you think, you know what, we have, 4 or 5 Super Bowl rings? We can operate like this. I mean, since that Odell pick, what do the Giants have? A playoff berth and a win. But it's sad seeing a franchise that... I'm saying this as a division rival, right? I am an Eagles fan. I don't root for the Giants. But that Giants team was fun whenever Jackson Dart, Cam Scattaboo, they both were out there, and I know that they, kind of annihilated my birds. But that was a fun team, and it just seems like the vibes aren't there anymore, and the record isn't there, and nothing really is there. And that's kind of been the whole theme of this video, where it's like, I don't know what you do if you're the Giants, honestly. Because if you want to say, you know what, we need to go get a culture setter, I mean, who are you going to look for? Are you going to say, you know what, we're going to bring up Dan Lanning from college, which that would be ridiculous. Do you want to say, you know what, Jackson Dart, he kind of reminds me of a, mobile, aired-out type of quarterback. He likes to play a bit of hero ball. You know what, Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, I don't know what you do if you want to go with an offensive-minded coach, which you've done this now however many times with Pat Shurmur being the head coach, now with Brian Daboll being the head coach. I mean, when does it, end? I mean, are you going to say, you know what, we go from one Bills OC to the other. Let's bring in Joe Brady. Like, I don't know what you do. And if you want to go and you want to say, you know what, let's go bring in a defensive-minded coach. Who? I mean, I'm not... We're not up to date yet with the, coordinator promotion cycle yet, because Black Monday hasn't hit yet. But it just doesn't seem like there's this outstanding, okay, he is someone, like there was last year with Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. There weren't these, there doesn't seem to be this much of, a bidding war where it's like, if we get him, that would be nasty. But it just seems like the Giants, they waited too long to make this move, and it's kind of led to their demise, I guess. And, again, when I say that, it's taken them too long, but you're hurting your team over the long run, and at least how I view it, as you're going to make a young quarterback who, going into the draft process and going into this year, which I thought struggled with the mental processing of the NFL, you're going to make him have to learn another playbook. It's just, it's blasphemous, and it's ludicrous to think that this is, a good thing, that, oh, you know what, we're going to bring in the right guy, you know what, he's going to right the ship. I don't know, because you're going to be having to rebuild an entire new team. Because it's quite honestly, there isn't a ton of talent on this roster, and getting over to the players themselves and looking at the cap space situation, for a team that is this bad, only going into next year, only having the 18th ranked cap space is ridiculous. Now, I will say that some of these players probably won't be on the roster. Kayvon Thibodeau won't be on the roster, I'm assuming. I mean, making $15 million next year. And then you have Joe Runyon, who, he's an okay guard making $12 million. Do we want to pay that much? I mean, James Hudson, a backup left tackle. Do we want to pay him $8 million? Even looking at Chauncey Goldston, a backup edge rusher, paying him $7 million. Devin Singletary, a 29-year-old running back, we're going to pay him $6.5 million. Jameis Winston, we're going to pay him $5 million. Oh, by the way, we're going to be 18th in cap space while we have a rookie quarterback. That is when you need to contend. And it's not like, you know what, okay, we can throw money at the issue because you don't have it. And it's not even like, okay, you know what, we can't spend money very well, we'll draft talent very well. Well, Can you? Because you took Malik Neighbors. Okay, great, cool. Good. You got some, okay, he's a good player, and, like, Tyler Nubin. I mean, you got Deonte Banks. Like, I mean, you're getting these guys where it's like, okay, cool, you know what, they're serviceable. But that doesn't cut it if you want to be a competent and well-run and successful team, and that's not what the Giants are. And I think this Brian Daboll firing falls back on everyone. And I know that that's such a, obviously, but truly, it's not like you can point at it like a Urban Meyer situation where it's like, it is directly on you. This whole saga for the Giants, and Brian Daboll in particular, is just sad to see one of the great franchises of the NFL being ran into the dirt in MetLife Field and just kind of being destroyed. But I don't know what you do with this team, honestly, because it's not like you say, you know what, we're going to go bring in, Cliff Kingsbury coming over here. You know what, we're going to go bring in, A.J. Brown. He seems to be agitated or whatever, which that would never happen. But, just, we're going to go bring in a number one receiver. We're going to pair him up with Malik Neighbors. You know what, we need a corner. Like, I don't know how you, navigate that much, because there's a ton of moving parts in the NFL, but it just seems like this is just such a, I don't want to say shocking, because when you see Brian Daboll getting emotional on the sideline after blowing yet another game, you kind of see the writing on the wall of it, and, the writing is on the wall now, or I guess it's dried, because Brian Daboll has been fired from the New York Giants. If you have any thoughts, critiques, or criticisms, let me know in the comments below, and as always, this is The Scoop with Coop. Until next time.